Hi guys, Miss Montelongo here. For today's lesson, we are going to get started on simple interest. So, I want you to get out some paper, a pen, get yourself ready. I want you to take some notes with me and do some practice problems with me so that when you get ready to do your own practice, your actual problems to turn in, you'll know exactly what to do. Hopefully you have a calculator. The link that I sent you guys to download onto your computers to complete the compound interest when we get there. And I'll show you right now on my computer. I've downloaded it, and I don't know if you can see it, but I have the calculator on my computer. I was able to use that link I sent to you guys to download it on my computer. Okay. So it is in the announcements that I have online in your classroom. So you need to look for it. It says COVID-19, I think, downloads. Anyway, so let's talk about simple interest. And this is the formula for simple interest. And I just want to write that here. Simple interest. And so I'm going to try to go as slow as I would if we were in the classroom. And I know I'm moving my stuff around, and I apologize. You're probably getting dizzy. Apologize for my hand in the way also. Anyway, let's look at this. Interest. Interest means I stands for interest. And that means it's the amount of money that you earn. It's the amount of money that you earn on money that you either borrow or invest, okay? The next thing we have is principal. Principal is the amount of money that you actually borrow or loan out, okay? It's an amount of money that you actually either receive from somebody or you give to somebody. So amount, and I know my hand is in the way. I know that. Let me get this up here. Amount of money received. I don't even know if that's spelled right. Or given. Received means somebody gives it to you, and given means that you're giving it to somebody else, okay? And then the next thing we have is rate. Rate is given to us it's a number using percent. It's a percent that we convert to a decimal. And I'll go over that with you in just a little bit. So hopefully you can see that so far. I know this isn't the easiest way to do these notes for you, but it was the easiest way for me to do the notes for you so that I could incorporate the compound interest information. So I apologize. And T is amount of time, means time. Oh, I know what I forgot to write. I forgot to write rate. So that means time, and we do that in years. In years. So I'm going to show you. If they give you a time in months, we have to divide it by 12 to get the number of years. So if they give you 6 months, so it's the months divided by years. Actually divided by 12, not by years. Months divided by 12 will give you a decimal to give you your answer. And this answer is going to give you, is what you're going to use in place of T. So for example, if they give me 6 months and I divide that by 12, because there's 12 months in a year, when I simplify that, I get 1/2. 1/2 or 0.5, right? So we would use the 0.5 in place of T. Okay? So just a quick little explanation on that. And I do want to explain the decimals. So remember, when you have a, and there's a shadow there, I apologize. If you have a decimal or a percent, so if I have, let's say 1.75%, in order to convert that from a percent to decimal, I mean, yes, I know there's a decimal in there, but you still need to get rid of this percent sign. Even though there's a decimal in there, you still have to move your decimal place 1, 2 places, and then put your filler in. So this ends up being 0.0175 as a decimal. If you have 5%, this is a whole number. So that means that there's a decimal right here where the percent sign is, and I would have to move the percent sign still 1, 2 places to the right and add my decimal, and then fill in my zeros. So that becomes 0.05 as a decimal. Remember, you have to move it 2 places to the right. Okay? But I'm going to show you a trick. If you have the calculator, then we don't have to convert to decimals, but you do have to use a percent sign. But I'm going to show you that in the calculator when we start working it. So that right there, and let me just stop right here real quickly, and so that you can see I equals PRT is interest equals principal times rate times time, and everything gets multiplied together to get your interest. So basically, what I'm saying is, and I'm going to write this right here, interest equals my principal times my rate times my time. All of this gets multiplied together to find the interest. All of this gets multiplied to find the amount of money I have earned on the amount of money that I actually either put in the bank or that I have to pay back to somebody. Okay, and I'm going to explain that in detail a little bit more. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to a practice problem. I'm going to move that out of the way. And with our practice problem, I'm going to identify my principal, my rate, and my time. And I'm going to circle them. So with this one, it says Maribel deposited $1,500 into a new account at her bank. The bank pays 4.5% annual simple interest on this account. I already know it's simple interest because it says it right there. Maribel did not make any additional deposits or withdrawals, so that's it. She didn't do anything else to her money. She deposited $1,500. The bank says, okay, we're going to hold it in the bank at a 4.5% annual simple interest. Okay. What is the balance of the account at the end of 5 years? Okay, so I've got all the information I need. The deposit or the initial amount is $1,500. That is the initial amount is my principal. That's the amount that she gave to the bank. Remember, it's something that you borrow or something that's given. She gave that to the bank. That's my principal. The bank pays 4.5% annual. There's my rate. It's already in there's a percent, so there's my rate. And it says at the end of 5 years. So right here is my time, and I'm going to label it as T. So I have my P, my R, and T. They want to know what the balance, they want to know the account balance. So not just the interest. In this case, we're not just going to find interest. We're going to find interest first, and then we're going to figure out what her account balance is at the end. Okay, so we're going to do 2 different things here. So my formula is I equals P R T. And so now I'm going to go ahead and substitute. My principal was $1,500 times 4.5%. Let's turn that 4.5%, and I'm going to do that over here to the side. What does 4.5, if I make this percent and I move my decimal 1, 2 places, that gives me 0.045. So I have 1,500 times 0.045% times 5 years. I'm going to multiply all of that together. Okay, so if you have a regular calculator, even one on your phone, you can just do this. Okay, so I'm going to show you up here. Let's go. I'm going to show you in the calculator. Add the calculator. I already have the, come on, add the calculator. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put in 1,500 times 0.045 times, and then my 5 years. Enter. So what Maribel's going to earn is $337, and that is 50 cents. 0.5 means 0.50. Okay, they just drop off the zero on the calculator. So I have to write this as money. So I'm going to go ahead right here. This, my interest is $337.50, right? That is how much money she earned on her principal. So now they want the account balance. So with the account balance, I have to come back and I have to find the total, which means I have to take my principal and add that to my interest. Okay? So in order to find the total, I'm going to take my principal, which is $1,500, and I'm going to add that to $337.50. That's only if they're asking for the account balance. If they're not asking, if they just ask for interest, you're going to stop right here. If they're going to ask you for total account balance, you have to come back and do this step also. So if I have total, her total balance is, and again, I'm going to come over here to my calculator, and I'm going to take that 1,500 and I'm going to add it to $337.50 and enter. So there's her account balance, $1,837.50. So my total here is $1,837.50. Okay. Now, if they had just asked, if they just said, what is the interest? If that just said interest, we would have stopped right there. We would have found just the interest, and this would have been our answer. But they went a step further and said they want to know her account balance. So when she puts $1,500 inside the bank, after 5 years with this amount of interest that she earned, at the end of those 5 years, this is how much she's going to have in her bank account. She's going to have $1,837.50. Okay, so we went this extra step to figure out how much total money she's going to have in that account. All right, so now we're going to go to one, and we're going to look at just finding interest. Okay, so I'm going to show you what that looks like now. Just if we just find interest, we're not looking for total account. So here we're going to find our principal, our rate, and our time first, and we're going to go ahead and circle them. Okay, so Ms. Gonzalez opened an account with a deposit of $2,000. There's my principal, my initial amount. That's how much that I'm opening my bank account with. The account earned an annual simple interest. Simple interest, so I know I'm working with simple interest. She did not make any additional deposits or withdrawals, so that's it. She just left it alone. She didn't do anything else with that money but put it in the bank. At the end of 6 years, oh, here's my time, the balance of the account was $2,696. Okay. So I'm going to change this. We're going to look for just interest here. I'm going to change this here. Because this is what we're going to end up finding. Let's say with a rate, okay, with a rate of 3.5%. Okay, so we have our rate right here. This is our rate. And let's go ahead and change that rate to just a simple decimal. So I'm going to change my rate, 3.5%. And that means I'm going to take this and go 1, 2 places. And there's my decimal, and I'm going to fill it in. So it's 0.035, okay? So I'm going to write that over here, 0.035. So I have my rate, my time, and my principal. Let's find let's just find the interest on this account, okay? So let's look for the interest. So my formula is I equals PRT. My principal was $2,000, okay, times my rate of 0.035 times the number of years, which is 6. And I'm going to put this in parentheses so that I know that I'm multiplying everything. If I use a dot for multiplication, well, we've got decimals, and I don't want to confuse you. And sometimes we use variables in here, so I don't want to put any x's in there to show times because that can be confusing as well. Okay, so let's go to our calculator, and I'm going to put in, so I'm going to come over here to my calculator, and I'm going to go ahead and put in 2,000. Multiply that by 0.035. Notice I don't have to put in the parentheses when I'm doing it in the calculator. Times 6. And enter. And how much interest did she earn? $420. So my interest here is $420. If I'm just asking for simple interest, just like this, I just want to know how much interest she earned. That's it. I'm done. $420. So this is your answer here, because all I wanted to know was what is the interest on this account. Up here, we wanted to know the total account balance. So remember, we had to go the extra step and add my principal and my interest together to get the total. Okay? Here on this one, all I wanted to practice was just finding the interest, and so this is just finding the interest, okay? So if you have to stop and pause this right now, stop and pause it so you can write down whatever notes that you can on this and take care of that. Okay, so now this is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead, and I'm going to keep going, so you make sure that you're pausing whenever you need to. We're going to go into compound interest, okay? All right, so compound interest here is a different formula. Compound interest takes all of this information here and gives me a total account balance already, okay? It'll automatically give me a total account balance, okay? So A is for account balance, and I'm going to put a shadow up here again. Let me get this right. This says account balance. Okay, P again is for principal, which means initial money borrowed or given. And when I mean borrowed, because sometimes you're going to have to borrow money from a bank or even from a friend. Now, most of the time when you borrow from people, they're not going to charge you interest. But when you borrow from a bank or a loan company or whatever the case may be, that's the amount of money that they actually give you. That's just the money they hand over to you. Or if you open a bank account, that's just a flat amount of money that you actually have in hand that you're giving to the bank, whether it's in a cash, check form, whatever form you're giving, that's the initial amount that you're giving to them, okay? And this is 1, that's just a number 1. R is for rate. Again, it's given to you in a percent, and you have to convert, convert to decimal, okay? And T is an exponent. It's an exponent, and it is your time. Again, in years. Okay? You have to do it in years. This one's going to be a little bit harder if you don't have your calculator. I'm going to do a couple of examples with you, and then I'm going to show you how to use your calculator or how to do it longhand if you don't have a calculator. And it's going to take some work if you don't have a calculator. If you don't have the calculator that I asked you to download, okay? If you have a friend that you can chat with online that has downloaded that calculator, then please work with another friend to get this work done. And just if you can chat on FaceTime, just on the phone, whatever it is to help each other get through this lesson here, because this is an important thing that you guys need to know. Okay, so compound interest. Let's look at the first question. It says Crystal invested $12,000 in an account that pays 5% annual compound interest. Okay, so we know we're working with compound because it says it right here, compound interest. It says $12,000. We already have our initial amount or our principal. It says 5% annual, so here's our rate already. Crystal will not make any additional deposits or withdrawals. How much interest will Crystal earn on her investment at the end of the year? Okay. So we need to find at the end of 2 years. Okay, so now it gives us the time, right? Time is 2 years. Okay, so let's see. Let's use our hold on, let me read this, Mrs. Bearfield. Let's go ahead and write down our formula. A equals P 1 plus my rate to the power of time, right? It's an exponent raised to the power of time. Okay, so we have that set up, okay? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my next problem real quickly. We already have that set up and we're looking at that. I actually wanna go to my second. I'm gonna come to this one second. I should have done this one second. So let's come to this one, okay. Mrs. Bearfield deposited $3,500, again, my principal, in a new investment account. That investment pays 8% interest, so here's my rate, compounded annually on this account. Mrs. Bearfield did not make any additional deposits or withdrawals. What is the balance? Balance means your account balance, okay, of the account at the end of 3 years. And so now we have our time. So now we have our time. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this 8.0% and I'm going to move it 1, 2, so it becomes 0.08, okay? So this is 0.08. I've already converted that. So my equation is A equals P 1 plus my rate raised to the power of time. So my account balance, I don't know what it is. My principal here is $3,500 times 1 plus my rate of 0.08. Whoops, you can't see it. Kind of like in the classroom, haha. And raised to the power of time, which in this case is 3 years, okay? So I have an exponent of 3, and this is where it gets tricky. Because if you don't have a calculator, guess what you're doing to this right here, 1 plus 0.8. You're multiplying it by itself 3 times. In this case, if you don't have a calculator, what you're going to do is you're going to take, let me use a separate piece of paper just to show you what that looks like if you don't have a calculator. So if you don't, you're going to take 1 plus 0.08 times 1 plus 0.08 times 1 plus 0.08, 3 times in order to, and then once you have this answer, then you can turn around and multiply it by this. Then you can turn around and multiply that by 3,500. That's the long way of doing it if you don't have a calculator to raise it to that power. But I do have a calculator, and I'm going to show you exactly how to put it in the calculator. So in this case, we're going to put this in as 3,500 times, again, notice I'm not putting parentheses. Actually, in this case, I have to put parentheses for compound interest. 1 plus, my rate is 0.08, and I'm going to close my parentheses, and then I'm going to use this little caret right here to raise it to a power of 3. Okay? And now I'm going to hit enter. So wow, she went from $3,500 that she put into the account to having now $4,408.99. So our answer here for our account balance at the end of those 3 years, Mrs. Bearfield is going to have a total of $4,408.99. That is compound interest. Okay, so now coming back up here to this problem here. We already set it up. However, this one wants to know how much interest, right? We need to know how much interest is earned. So we're going to do a double step here. We're going to do a double step. So we have our account. We need to find the account balance. Our principal was $1,200. Okay. Oh, I forgot to convert my 5%. So again, 1, 2, and that goes 0. So it's 0.05. So this becomes 0.05 as a decimal. So I'm going to take my 1 plus 0.05 rate and raise that to the power of 2. So that's squared. Okay, again, if you don't have a calculator, what does that look like? That looks like $1,200 times 1 plus 0.05 times 1 plus 0.05. So I would do that first and then take that answer and multiply it by this if you don't have a calculator. Okay, so in this case, we do have a calculator. I'm going to show you, well, I have a calculator on my computer, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So let's come back over here. All right, so I'm going to put this in, 1,200. And again, open my parentheses. 1 plus 0.05. Close my parentheses, and I'm going to raise that, so it's going to be squared. I don't have to raise it. You can either raise it. If it's anything other than a 2, you have to raise it. Because it's to the second power, you don't have to raise it. And I'm going to click on my x squared here, and it's going to go ahead and put in my 2. Okay? And now, hit enter. So she went from $1,200 to $1,323 even. There's no change. That's why there's a decimal at the end. There's no change. So it's 0.00, right? Like 0 change. No sense. 0 change. That doesn't even make sense. Huh. Talking about sense. Okay. So this becomes, her account balance is $1,323.00. That's her total account balance. So if that is her total account balance, and she started with $1,200, how much interest did she earn? That's what this is asking. How much interest did Crystal earn? Well, in order to find the interest, okay, what I have to do is I have to take my principal and I have to subtract it by my account balance. So in order to find my interest, I'm going to take my principal, which was $1,200. I'm going to subtract it from $1,323. So now let's go ahead. I know some of you can do this in your head, but some of you cannot. So we're going to take 1,200 and I'm going to subtract that from 1,323. And I'm going to get $123. So the amount of interest is $123 that she earned. So when they're asking for the interest on a compound, you have to do the extra step. But like this, they just want to know the account balance. All I need to know is find A, account balance. Okay? So make sure that you did stop, paused, did whatever you needed to do to write these notes down, because I know that I'm talking fast and I'm going fast through the notes to get this video out to you guys, but you need to be able to hit pause and go backwards or rewind, whatever, hit the little rewind button at the bottom so that you can get all of the notes that you need to. Okay? So I hope this helps you. I look forward to making a couple more videos for you as we go through. Hopefully it helps you, that you hear my voice and you know my teaching, you know my style of teaching, because you already see all the little mistakes and the little things that I do that I normally do in the classroom, the silly mistakes I make. I'll talk to you soon. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Miss you guys. Bye.